What's up, guys? Today I want to talk to you about the first 3 properties that I purchased. I want you to see real life examples from a real person with actual deals. I want you to hear some of the things I talk about while I think about purchasing these deals and going through the process. And I want you guys to see that it truly is a step-by-step process that you can do. All right, so here we go. So property number 1, 4-unit, downtown LA, 2010. And the property costs $600,000. Now, no, that seems like a lot of money. It is a lot of money for my first property. It was a little intimidating. However, I'm gonna break it down. $600,000. We needed about $60,000 for the down payment. In this particular deal, I was partnering with one of my buddies, so we split that. So now $60,000. My portion is $30,000, so I need to come up with $30,000 for the down payment. At the time, I'm working a decent job. My wife's working a decent job. We're fortunate enough to be able to put away a few $1,000s a month. It took us, about a year or so to save that money up, to be in position to have the money for the down payment and the reserves. Okay, so we got that checked. We've been paying our bills. We don't have a ton of credit, but we've been paying our credit down, our student loans down. So my credit score is around 730, which is good for the bank. Our income's decent. Again, we don't have very many debts. And so our debt to income ratio is below 45%, so we're good there. And then obviously, we've got the income to support and qualify. So when you talk about the pre-qualification process, that's it broken down in our first deal. So we go into the deal and we have 4 units that are occupied. So all 4 units are occupied, and we are expecting to get the rents that they currently have, and then at some point increase those rents. We had 2 2-bed 1-baths, we had 1 1-bed 1-bath, and we had 1 5-bed 2-bath. Okay, we're going to increase the 5-bed. We're going to increase all of them over time, and we gave ourselves a year to try to do that. One big piece I learned from this property is about rent control and the landlord-tenant handbook in the city of LA. We're thinking we're gonna go in there, wait a few months, start increasing rents. When we quickly learned that was not legal for us to do. We eventually, bit the bullet, and we just had to settle in with these residents that we had. Our income, total monthly income with rents, is about $7,000, and then our expenses, including the mortgage, is about $4,000. So we're still clearing about $3,000 in cash flow. That's income after mortgage and all the debts and expenses. So it's a good deal. It's a cash flowing deal. We're making a good percentage. Because of rent control, we could not take that property to where we felt its full potential was. I took that into our next deal. It's just a single family house. Purchase price is much more manageable. The house is $40,000. We had to come up with a down payment and reserves of $10,000. Our debt to income ratio was now actually lower because we were making more money in the other deal. We still had the debt added in from the first fourplex, but we are also making more money. So our debt to income ratio actually decreased. We talked about that in other videos. Our income actually increased because now we've got that extra $3,000 a month I was telling you about. Our credit remained the same. We're still about 730, continue to pay our bills on time. And we talked about the down payment and reserve. So again, pre-qualification, relatively smooth. Making sure we're checking all the boxes for the bank so they feel comfortable with us to, let us borrow some money. So this property came, with its own challenges. It was vacant at the time. We had to do some renovations on the house prior to the bank closing on the house, meaning before we actually owned it, we had to put a couple $1,000s into it to get the bank comfortable with the house. We had to fix a water heater and a broken pipe outside. And so we did that because we felt it was worth it. It was a really good deal. Risking the money before you actually own it is something that is really unconventional. You don't normally do, but in this case, there's a road we had to cross, and it worked out for us. We're going into the property. It's vacant. Day one, we have to get it rented out. I think the rent we started was about $750, and our mortgage payments plus expenses and HOA fees about $350. So for this house, we're looking at a cash flow of $350. For a $10,000 down payment, That's a pretty good percentage when you talk about cash on cash returns and things like that. We'll get into that in other videos. It's going to be awesome. This property, cash flowing $350 a month. We get it rented out within a month of us buying it. Things are going smooth. We run into a few hiccups down the road with just, problem tenants and pest control, things that normal property owners and property managers kind of run into as they continue to manage and own property. Nothing really out of the ordinary, nothing really to quit the business over. Just continuing to gain knowledge and experience and take some bumps and bruises. But overall, this property's been a win for us. We've actually been able to grow the value of this house from $40,000 and it's worth now $175,000. So it's been a really awesome ride for this property. Our rent went from $700 and now our rent is $1,150. So and the mortgage stays the same. It's a fixed mortgage, it stays the same. So our cash flow jumped up a bunch. So this property's been great. We learned a lot. Sometimes when you're investing in single family homes and they're in newer, semi-newer subdivisions, you'll have what's called an HOA or a homeowners association. It's a group of owners that basically govern the rules and regulations of the subdivision or community, and they enforce the rules. This is my first real taste of an HOA and how it affects me and my property and my investment. And so it directly affected me because I have tenants living in this house, but I have to make sure that the house is abiding by the HOA rules. So we run into this issue a few times where the residents are not abiding by the rules, but guess who gets the fine? Guess who gets the letter? Me, the property owner. So learning that process quickly, having difficult conversations with our residents, and then finding ways to make them responsible for the mistake. Learning how the HOA works and how it affects me as a property owner, as an investor, was huge for us, which helped because our third property, let's get into the third property, actually was an HOA as well. And so we bought this property as an owner-occupied second home mortgage, which allowed us to put only 10% down on this house. And so the house was about $180,000, and we needed down payment plus reserves around $20,000 to get into this house. Mind you, 2010, we bought property number 1. 2011, we bought property number 2. Now it's 2012, and we're buying property number 3. And so we need another $20,000. So just to put that in perspective, how frugal we're living, how much we're saving our money, how much we're sacrificing the things that we, like to do or want to do because we are trying to achieve our goals. Again, $20,000 now available for this next purchase. Our credit is getting stronger. I think we're in the 740 range now. Our debt to income again has dropped down even lower because we've got more income. Even though we've got more debt, we've got more income from our second property now. It's an interesting story with this property because we put an offer in on this property. We got outbid or whatever, I can't remember. And then, so we moved on. We moved on to another property about 7 miles away. We were in escrow or under contract in the process of buying that property. And then we randomly get a call from the owner of the initial property saying, hey, our buyer dropped out, do you guys still want the property? Obvious yes for us. It met all the standards that we were looking for. My wife flew out the next day, got an inspector, we inspected the property. We canceled the other contract. We put our earnest money down the next day, and we moved forward with that purchase. The one thing I was looking for though in this owner-occupied house was I wanted to make sure I was at a price point that allowed us to get a mortgage number or a monthly payment amount that I could one day rent the house out and still afford to pay that mortgage payment. So again, like property number 1, number 2, I wanted to eventually have cash flow on this house at some point because I knew we had a growing family and we'd eventually outgrow this house, and I didn't want to have to sell it. I wanted to be able to rent it out to add to our rental portfolio. Fast forward, we end up buying the house and going back to the HOA. I ended up joining the HOA board and getting a little bit more influence in our community. I mean, I talk about ownership all the time, And this was a great way for me to understand the inner workings of the HOA, why they charge the fees they charge, what they use the money on, and how we can influence how much they charge and where we spend the money. So that was huge for me and for my growth, and just for me feeling like I had some influence over my community and to try to help my family. After a few years of this property, we decided it was gonna be time for us to move on. And so we're thinking about where we wanna go. We're thinking about, again, can we rent this house out? And so our mortgage payment with our HOA fee, our taxes, our insurance, that total number was about $1,200. We finally found another house that fit what we were looking for, and it was time for us to rent the house out. We rented the house out for $1,650. So $1,650 minus $1,200, we're at $450 of cash flow every single month. Now the tenant pays the water bill, electric bill, gas bill, so we essentially have no other bills for this property. So it's a clean and easy way to do it. And so we actually achieved the goal we're looking for several years before when we bought the house, knowing that we would want to rent it out. Just learning to manage your cash flow. My wife and I learning how to do that, learning how much money we want to have in the bank as a reserve for ourselves. You know, we set our own reserve number for a rainy day. That was huge for us because, you know, it's just a skill that you pick up and you're able to use that as you move on to other properties. So I'm telling you guys about my personal experience with my first 3 properties so you can see that it's possible for you. You may be in a position to buy a $600,000 house, or a $40,000 or $50,000 house, or at $180,000 to $200,000 house. Wherever you are, you can see that it's possible. The process is pretty much the same. I explained that to you guys. I want to see you guys close escrow, get keys to your first property. I want to see you guys start owning your community, start buying back the block. I want to see you guys winning, okay, for your family, for your kids, for your kids' kids. I want to see you guys leaving legacies, and it starts right now with the basic steps. So I wanted to show you guys that because it means that much to me to drop it on you guys, open up what I've done in my career with you guys so you can see that it's possible for you. So I'm here to be your coach. I'm here to help you get pre-qualified. I'm here to help you get on your way to buying your first property.